Hi, I'm Angified. I started Angified Presents.
We share the love of music.
It has been medicine and therapy. Nothing else worked.
It has saved many of us. With mental health, we need to open our eyes.
Hurt people hurt people.
We ask that you listen, comprehend, and relate with your ears.
Form that heart of unity and one.
We share on this stage.
Statistics, feelings,
And ourselves.
we stand with the belief to be you, to be heard, and to be original.
We all may be different, with opinions and beliefs.
At the end of the day, we are all brothers and sisters.
We are family.
We ask that you join us in a magical journey with artists from around the world. Open your minds, let in the love.
And listen with your hearts.
We all want a better tomorrow. Be one.
Communicate and look out for one another. And then, and only then, will you find the world.
We will find peace in all the world.
You'll find the world. And you will find in this shining world heroes among us, and every boy and girl. Many have been broken, red hearts turn black. Love will melt the ice and turn it back, and you will find the world. You will find the world. You will find the world. And when you find a place called home, where everyone is free to roam, a whole new world, a better place for our children's futures at stake. And you'll find, with music in your soul, laughter in your hearts, together we can grow a better place, with love in us all. And you will find, together we can save it all. And you will find a place called home, where everyone is free to roam, a better place, a whole new world,
talking about it all every Thursday night. From software to plugins and synths that entice. Dive deep into tech and let creativity take flight. Talkin' IT. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. From bedroom producers to seasoned pros, we're breaking it down so knowledge grows. Whether you're a DJ or a beat making wizard, we got the tips and tricks to make your sound sizzle. Mixing and mastering, that's our jam. With the tutorials and tips on how much rap. Get the best quality from your setup and gear. Tune in every week and lend us your ear. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. We're talking IT. We're talking IT. Every Thursday night on Angified.
Ooh, da-da-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, 2026.
It's here.
We
just like
we barely knew you 2025.
But gone it is.
Well, now I'm getting ready for 2027.
Might as well jump ahead of the game, right? Get ahead of everything else.
Yeah, well, from what I'm seeing for some of the things that are going to be coming out this year, like our song said, on a PC or a Mac or even a mobile device, the future devices might not be any of those.
Right. Exactly. That's the beautiful thing. It could be something completely different.
Yeah. And tonight, we do have a little tech that we're going to look at. Going to look at some deal making or things that you might want to avoid when making deals in the music world, and some guitar. The guitar is going to finish off the bottom half of it, including little guitars.
Nice. I love little guitars.
Yeah, here, I'll show you. To the IT cave. Where's our cave? There she is.
There it is. Nice.
Oh, but I need to look at it.
There it is. Much better.
Yeah. So if it's not a mobile device in the future that we're watching IT on, it could be one of these bad boys, holographic watches.
Nice.
This really makes me feel like the future is here. If we start doing this, I want to be like Tony Stark.
Nice.
I mean,
or there's been a few, but sure.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to start small with these, but I think with this technology, it's only gonna be a matter of time before we start like having big screens in front of us like that.
Absolutely. And we've already seen some test cases on how to use the tech for that. Like the one I remember for the like a Surface, a touch screen that was the size of like, a counter, was like a hotel lobby, check-in kind of thing. But you could take photos and just a whole spray of photos would be on there, and you could like push this one here, this one there, and it just made it very intuitive and easy to try to just manipulate all of the things you're trying to do.
Yeah, and they've tried to do this approach with like lighting on a flat surface and kind of turning the desk into like a touch screen based on the lighting, but this goes to a whole nother level when the screen pops up over the watch. This makes me feel like Dick Tracy and Inspector Gadget had a watch, baby.
Nice. That's a good one.
Yeah, and the Caro show, one of the channels that we came across last year, I can say that now, last year, this channel's really becoming one of my favorites for like the new tech and what's coming down the pipe there. I could have picked a whole bunch of them with what he's been covering. He actually had two about these holographic watches. One was an Apple announcement that came first, and uh, what did we say? Xiaomi, Xiaomi countered after that Apple announcement with some cool news, and it's good to see that there's some competition in this market because this kind of emerging technology you don't want run from just one direction.
Yeah, like we said, Xiaomi. Yeah,
Xiaomi, yes.
very close, very close.
Once we figure out what Xi owes me, then and
Then
then
we'll see.
these next two are kind of about deal making in the music world, and this one like really caught my attention last week, and DJ Payne, one of the channels we went to last year, covering some beat making tips and things. What I like about him is he's straightforward, no beating around the bush, does not sugarcoat his tips or his advice. It's really coming from an authentic advisor here. And what he's going to talk about here is something that's going on in the beat making world when it comes to drum patterns, and something that we've looked at, and copywriting drum beats is it's a gray area. I really can't see how like this is gonna work if we set this kind of precedence.
Well, the question is, how many beats or how many measures is okay versus how many is not? Because it's clearly okay to use little bits, because little bits, a little bit of this, kick, kick, hi-hat, snare. I mean, you can only get so small of an element that before it's too common to copyright. So at some point there is a line they have to draw. And when they draw that line, it's a question of what all falls in there.
Here's what makes this particular case interesting is it's not just about the beat itself, it's about a genre, reggaeton. And
that beat is definitive for the style for sure.
Yes, and there's no argument there, but at the same time, if a genre has a distinct sound that makes it that genre, like we can look at EDM and trap beats, and we can go look at certain genres where like the beat approach is very distinctive, and the artists or the ones responsible for creating that genre, if they start going out there and saying we own that genre, which is kind of what's going on here, what does that say for the future of that genre if the approach isn't handled properly? I could see a lot of artists saying, you know what, forget that. I'm going to make music in another genre where this isn't an issue. And there's a very important discussion that goes on in this one.
Yeah. And again, it's about certain elements of a beat, and that is really part of what makes something a reggaeton song, would be that beat. So
yeah. Well, there's three of them who discuss it, and they all come at it with unique perspectives here, and that's why I found it such an interesting one. Had to get it in here.
Nice.
And then Freshie Channel, XJ Will. I really like this one because the advice that he gives here, there's some really solid tips that he gives that I think everybody should hear and consider, especially in the case of like he had an opportunity for a project, sync deals in the music world where you create content and music, and whether you're talking making a trailer or commercial, this is one area where musicians get a lot of opportunity if they're good at it and they've got the right material.
Mhm.
Well, he had an opportunity for $100,000 project, and they loved his music, and they liked what he had to offer.
Mhm.
But one thing when it comes to a lot of these deals is they got to be done quick. The deadlines are usually like couple of days, and
Mhm.
he learned a lesson here and helps to give some advice on what to avoid if you get a situation like this.
Right. It's always tricky if you get, up against a deadline.
Yeah, and that's the thing that can bite you in the ass.
Mhm.
Then a little bit of songwriting.
Mhm.
We've had a couple of nights last year where it was all about the writing and
Mhm.
write a song. We found that channel when we were covering those topics. Awesome channel for writing tips and approaches. And I saw this one and I said, yeah, this is one that me and Glenn can come at from both sides here.
Mhm.
Writing a song on guitar versus piano, or
Nice.
the other way around.
Mhm. Yep.
Sometimes, depending on the type of song you want to write,
Mhm.
which
Absolutely.
which way you go here can make the song sound one way or make the song
Mhm.
sound a totally different way. And I like the discussion of the benefits and disadvantages depending on which way you go.
Absolutely. For me, just off the top, like one thing is if it had to do with a strumming pattern, like a certain types of songs, it has to do with how you're strumming it or how you're, playing it, picking it. That would have to be a guitar kind of a song.
Yeah.
Other songs, if it has to do with having a bass line and melody and some elements of um, improvisation just all happening at the same time, I would probably do it on the keyboard just because there's a little bit more flexibility to play. Like, I mean, I know you can do it. I've seen people do it on both,
Yeah.
be able to play very fluidly, bass lines and chords and everything on any instrument. But for me, I'm more comfortable doing more of that probably on the piano than on the guitar, just because the guitar, I feel like I don't have the, like putting it all together for all of those elements at the same time kind of thing yet.
Yeah. And chording,
Mhm.
whether you're on guitar, piano, chord approach, both lend themselves there. But like you said, the strumming,
Mhm.
whether you want to arpeggiate, whether
Mhm. Yep.
you're doing like the piano kind of chord bouncing with the thumb,
Mhm.
that's where like deciding on the approach can really shape the chord progressions that you go with.
What I would want to work on probably would be for the guitar side of it would be doing like minimalist chording where I just try to like hit little chirp of a chord here and a little chirp of a chord there, and that frees you up to do whether it's bass lines or melody or sing. You can hit a little element of that chord just to make sure that you're keeping that sound in the ears and then working around that.
Yeah. And what I like, the idea of using either or is if you do write it on one,
Mhm.
being able to go to the other one and see how your approach does differ
Mhm.
helps you to actually flesh out a better song.
Oh, I would love to. I would put both elements in most songs as far as,
Hmm.
figure out ways to fit both pieces into both song or into all songs. Just because if it's a guitar song, there's still a place to have guitar parts in there, whether it's again, a little melody line here or whether it's some backing, bass parts here or chords. You can figure out ways to use that in there. And the same goes the other way.
Yeah. So it's going to be a good discussion on how to write a song with
Yes.
either.
With E minor as the six or in the key of G.
Yeah, and if you do go the guitar route and you're like me, not Glenn, who has
Mhm.
giant fingers, if you have little fingers, little stubs, nine chord Neil, another freshie for us, definitely going to be coming back for some of our guitar nights because he's got some great guitar videos. But here he shows us a guitar brand that's designed for, you know, guitarists with kids, like
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
the like the mini pianos that we looked at one night, the brand that actually makes smaller size keys
Mhm.
for
Right.
kids.
Yeah.
I saw this and I was like, I do have small hands and I would like to be able to play guitar and hit those stretchy chords that you guys do. Um, might be worth checking out this brand.
Yeah, I will say that with the stretchier chords are usually more of a jazz thing, and
Yeah.
most of the chords you would use in a lot of the stuff that you would like to play, for example, you wouldn't need a lot of that.
Yeah.
For that, a lot of that is more comfortable chord shapes that we've talked about before, even just the basic caged shapes, and then working from those to the movable shapes. I think you'd be in good shape for most of the songs that you want to do until you get into the crazy jazz stuff where you're adding all kinds of extensions that you have to be able to stretch way out here for. And a lot of them, the design of the guitar really did lend itself to keep things in a comfortable, reachable range to make chords like that.
Yeah. So I might find a guitar that works with these little stubs.
Nice. There you go.
And also, how you tune the guitar. I always like the alternate approaches, and when it comes to tuning, we've looked at some over the guitar nights. This one, I don't recall running across. Dad Gad and drop tuning and all of those very common. But FACGCE, this one wasn't familiar to me.
What's interesting is that all of those, if you just look at the notes themselves, they're all in the key of C. So that's, C, E, and G, the whole high end there, that's all a nice C chord where you got the root, the fifth, the root, and a third. And then the bottom there, you've got a low 4 and a 6 as the F and the A down there. So it's a little bit, it would be strange to play the whole thing just, open like that. But at the same time, it's an interesting way to start from.
Yeah. And this one, I am surprised we actually weren't already subscribed to it. Let's talk about math rock, which hey, I'm not a huge math fan, but when it comes to math in music, I do really like the mathematical side to music, and he's got a whole channel on it that I'm going to be checking out. And with this tuning approach, he talks about like getting automatically dreamy chords, and I love them dreamy chords.
Yeah, dreamy chords are nice for sure. I like just looking at it real quick. The F there, you're going up, so you're tuning that lowest note. You're tuning up a little bit, and then that third string, the C, that's coming down from a D. So you're tuning that third string down a whole step.
Yeah, well, he's gonna show getting into this tuning, and then the claws and the things that you'll have to kind of reprogram a little bit to get the most out of it.
Yeah, and there will be some guitar players or some players who just do not like the idea of alternate tunings, because for them, when they look at themselves hitting the third fret, they want to hear that G note on a low string. And if all of a sudden you tune that to an F, and all of a sudden it's going to be a G sharp, and they hit it, it's just going to it will shake them. So they don't like that. So there are certain players who will not like alternate tunings at all. Other people, they like to adapt to them because it is a fresh approach and an easy way to get to certain, like you said, certain dreamy sounding chords that would like these awkward claws that you might not want to have.
Yeah, I think in some cases it helps a guitarist who's kind of in a box, who's gotten to a point where they just keep doing the same thing.
Yeah, that is a perfect thing for alternate tunings.
Get out of that box and try like some different approaches.
Another thing there is, reggaeton, or just getting into a different style, like something that you haven't normally done, because if you just find yourself doing the same pentatonics over and over, try jumping into a different style of music, even that you normally don't do, and just see what does the bass line do there? What does the melody line do? See what kinds of things they do that are different than what you normally do. And you'll find all of a sudden you can spice up your playing with these little bits from other styles that you don't usually play.
Yeah, this can definitely help to get into new styles.
Definitely.
So to get started, Xiaomi, let's get the channels up here. The Caro Show at Caro Show 9598. awesome tech channel that we came across earlier last year. And like I said, I have been hitting this up as much as I've been hitting up Sanjay and some of the other ones when it comes to what's new, what's coming, what's cool out there. And man, every video that comes out from him, I end up like I gotta check this out. You know, you'll see some in here where they're showing like the iPad glass, which is another thing this year that you're probably going to start seeing transparent tablets and transparent phones. Been
We
a
knew it was coming.
lot of announcements there. Yeah, and Elon Musk unveils a Neuralink chip that turns your body into a smartphone. Definitely will be checking that out too.
I want to say that was the one that I was thinking about, where you're basically the display is your forearm. So like, you know, you're hitting something and it looks like, you know, as far as you're concerned, your display is on your forearm.
Yeah. And, you know, if you don't necessarily want to be tapping your forearm, what we'll be doing here with this one is we'll be tapping right above. Because Xiaomi shocks the industry with its first holographic bracelet, HyperTouch. Now, it's not out yet, but given Apple's announcement, which was almost the video I was going to go with, but, you know, we've been covering a lot of Apple. And right now, Apple's more like saying, we're working on it. This is something we want to do. We haven't squared away exactly how we're going to pull it off. They're talking a couple of years down the road, whereas Xiaomi is not afraid to like hit the road like quicker. And you know, sometimes the early developers are the ones who they can be the innovators, but sometimes it does actually take getting out there and getting your feet wet, going through a couple of iterations, and they're not afraid to give it a shot. They've got the right ideas here, and we may see them come out with a solution possibly this year or going into next year.
Now, I want to say it was it 10, 15 years ago when we first started talking about the Leap motion controller, that tiny controller because it had a feature that allowed you to do the early versions of this, where you were able to, you know, design an interface essentially where you could just touch the air and it would know that as you're hitting here, that's a button. So, you know, you're able to, you know, have a fixed plane in space that it's able to use as a reference for you to, you know, click or not click through there. The question is the feedback on that, whether it's audio. What I would love to see would be a haptic, whether it's if you had to wear a glove, for example, and when you go to click on that interface there, when you go to click, you would feel like you just hit something, right? Like there'd be, you know, whether it's a buzz in the finger or whether it's just, you know, something that lets you know that you clicked something there. That would be good for the intuitiveness of the feedback, I think.
Yeah, well, people do like to feel their typing. You know, that's part of the reason why the Blackberries were so popular in the early days. And, you know, some of those light keyboards that they tried to do, a lot of people didn't like that. They weren't really feeling like they're hitting a key. And I thought the same thing, like a glove with haptic feedback would certainly complement something like this. But you know, the whole idea is to get this on everybody's wrists,
right?
And
to try to get away from that. I get it.
Yeah. Whatever approach they're going to take here, my biggest curiosity was this technology that they're going to implement to give this kind of holographic effect. What is it?
Yeah, that is the question. Is it glasses? No, can't be glasses.
Well, if you need additional hardware. That's like they want to get this as simple as possible.
Exactly. So let's see.
Yeah, let's see what they use.
In recent months, conversations in Asian tech circles have increasingly focused on the idea that Xiaomi is preparing for the most ambitious and risky step in the company's history, a step that insiders have already begun calling a leap beyond the smartphone era. According to several sources, including analysts from Nikkei Asia and South China Morning Post, as well as insiders linked to supply chains in Shenzhen and Taiwan, Xiaomi is secretly developing a fundamentally new device that does not fit into the category of smartphones, smartwatches, or AR glasses. In leaks, the project appears under working names such as Xiaomi HyperVision, Xiaomi Mi Vision X, or simply X device, which matches the company's tradition of testing several names before the final release. People familiar with Xiaomi's internal presentations say the company plans to introduce this device in 2026, positioning it not as another gadget, but as the central node of a next-generation personal digital ecosystem capable of replacing several devices at once. Unlike Apple, which moves cautiously and selectively, Xiaomi is betting on aggressive technological expansion, aiming to be the first to bring to the mass market what competitors still show only as concepts. According to leaks, Xiaomi HyperVision is a wearable device with a distributed architecture in which the computing unit, sensors, and interface are split across several elements, including a compact module worn on the body and a spatial projection system that creates a virtual screen in the air or on surrounding surfaces. Control is performed through gestures, eye tracking, voice, and AI deeply integrated into the proprietary HyperOS ecosystem, which plays a key role in this project. Analysts believe Xiaomi is deliberately building HyperVision as a logical extension of HyperOS, transforming the operating system from a smartphone shell into a universal platform for human interaction with the digital world. According to insiders from Xiaomi Labs, the company is betting on its own AI models optimized to run on-device without constant cloud connectivity, reducing latency and improving autonomy while maintaining a price advantage. Experts from Counterpoint Research argue that price may become Xiaomi's main weapon in this race, since if Apple launches its device in the premium segment, Xiaomi could offer a similar concept at half the cost, making it mainstream. Supply chain sources claim Xiaomi has already ordered large batches of micro OLED and waveguide components from Chinese and Korean manufacturers, including BOE and Tianma, and is actively investing in startups working on optical projection and spatial interfaces, which supports the view that HyperVision is not an experiment but a long-term strategic product. It is important to note that unlike Apple, Xiaomi is not afraid to release products at an early stage of technological maturity, preferring to refine them together with the market. And this is why the company may dare to unveil HyperVision earlier than competitors, even if the first versions are imperfect. According to Chinese media, within Xiaomi, the project is seen as a chance to step out of the shadow of Apple and Samsung and secure the role of a company that sets trends rather than chases leaders. Analysts point out that Xiaomi has repeatedly demonstrated the ability to scale complex technologies, whether in electric vehicles, smart home systems, or wearable electronics, and HyperVision may become the culmination of this strategy. The uniqueness of the device, insiders say, lies in the fact that it does not require a constant screen. The smartphone becomes only a supporting node, and the main interaction takes place through projection and contextual AI that analyzes the user's environment, habits, and tasks in real time. This means that HyperVision may become the first truly mass post-smartphone device aimed not at enthusiasts, but at a wide audience. And according to IDC analysts, if Xiaomi manages to implement this scenario, the market may face a serious redistribution of power in which the Chinese manufacturer for the first time directly challenges Apple not in the smartphone category, but in shaping the future of user interfaces. At the same time, it is important that Xiaomi is actively leveraging the current geopolitical situation by betting on China's technological autonomy, its own chips, AI models, and ecosystem, which reduces dependence on American technologies and sanction risks, making HyperVision not only a commercial product, but also a strategic element of Chinese technological independence. According to insiders, the company is discussing a scenario in which by the end of the decade, the smartphone will no longer be Xiaomi's main source of revenue, giving way to wearable devices and services built around AI and spatial interfaces. And if these plans are realized, 2026 may go down in history as the moment when Xiaomi became the first to step into the post-smartphone era, turning experimental technologies into a mass product and imposing on the market a new logic of human interaction with digital reality where the screen no longer limits but disappears, giving way to space, intelligence, and speed. It is especially telling that in recent months, Xiaomi has noticeably changed the rhetoric of its public speeches and presentations, increasingly moving away from the usual emphasis on best value for money toward conversations about the future of human-technology interaction, something previously more typical of Apple than Chinese manufacturers. According to sources in Chinese venture funds, Xiaomi is already testing early prototypes of the device in closed groups, including employees of ecosystem companies and HyperOS developers. And the first impressions, despite the immaturity of the technologies, are described as a feeling of stepping into a future the market is not yet ready for. And experts believe that if Xiaomi succeeds in bringing HyperVision to a stable consumer level, the company may not only create a new product, but change the very dynamics of the global market, where for the first time in many years, a Chinese brand will set the direction of development, while Western corporations are forced to react and catch up. And in this context, 2026 is increasingly being called a turning point, the moment after which the smartphone will finally cease to be the sole center of digital life, and Xiaomi will gain a chance to secure its place in history, not as a manufacturer of affordable gadgets, but as the company that first turned the post-smartphone concept into a mass reality, permanently changing the balance of power in the global technology industry. Additional attention from analysts is also drawn to the fact that as part of preparing HyperVision, Xiaomi has begun to revise its strategy for working with developers, gradually shifting key HyperOS tools into a format oriented not towards screens, but towards spatial and contextual interfaces, which is confirmed by leaks of internal SDKs and experimental APIs. According to sources close to the development process, the company is already testing new monetization principles in which the user pays not for applications in the usual sense, but for functions, scenarios, and intelligent services operating on top of the real world. And this may become a long-term source of revenue, comparable in scale to the current smartphone market. Experts emphasize that such an approach is capable of sharply transforming the Android ecosystem and increasing pressure both on Google and on manufacturers of classic smartphones, since Xiaomi is effectively proposing an alternative model of digital interaction in which the screen ceases to be a mandatory intermediary between humans and technology.
We're in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't long ago we were talking about it, what is after the smartphone, and is it going to be a wearable thing, and the whole change in supply chain from not needing that screen, not needing not that the glass is the important part, but it changes everything about what you need in order to make the device.
Well, and it's interesting to see the investments they're making now in materials to get there. And let's face it, as much as we've been bitching about AI for the last couple of years, it was a necessary evil to get to this kind of technology. It's going to depend on this technology to get to that technology.
Yep. Yeah, and there are several, enabling technologies that open the door to other ones that, certain things like they seemed like a good idea several years ago, but they were just theoretical,
Yeah. Yeah. But this is where you see some of the ideas that come out of science fiction movies and ideas of holographic displays. I think the Avengers and Tony Stark with the screens like that. Once you've thought about it that way, it's only a matter of time before someone's like, how can we make that real?
Yeah. Well, think about the TVs. We remember the big CRTs, the big old monitors that you give a big hug to, carry around. They're 80 pounds each. You know,
probably
we're just like,
caused cancer.
why can't we just rip the front off and just have the part that's the screen? You know, why can't we do that? And then we could, and we could walk around with just the screen. And now we're getting to the point where the screen is even going to be see-through at some point, where you can just walk around with what looks like clear glass, but then you can, you know, turn it on and see.
Well, and weren't they talking about micro LEDs? That's part of the key here, and you know, utilizing different approaches to interacting with it. It's not just the AI, voice control, recognition of movement, gestures. If it took the smartphone to lead to AI development, to make gesturing something that becomes natural, the evolution is amazing to watch in our lifetime.
Yeah. And again, the speed of it has gotten, you know, just so much faster. Everything has gotten, you know, this exponential growth to it, so that, you know, with AI, it's going to be just ridiculously fast. But everything has been, you know, getting so much better, so much faster over time in terms of technology, that it really gets to a point where it almost gets scary. Like if you took a week off to take a vacation, you come back and you're a year behind, you know?
Yeah. Now all of a sudden there's robots and androids in there.
And it all seems natural to everybody when you get back, and you're like, wait, when did this happen? They're like, oh, it was like Wednesday, Wednesday, I think it was. Yeah.
Well, this company definitely looks like they are, you know, moving and shaking. They're not afraid to, like he mentioned, develop it with the market.
Yes, I love that. I love that too. Yeah.
To me, I think nowadays, especially with this kind of emerging technology, that's kind of a necessity too, for companies to really flesh out the technology. We kind of do have to be the beta testers and the guinea pigs. It's not like the old days where you had to wait a decade while Apple did things in the back and kept everything quiet and then just rolled it all out like already baked. This stuff's going to need the market and the audience to adapt to it.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, you know, I get the whole idea of, you know, move fast and break things, but, you know, there's a time for that, but there's also certain industries for that. And there's a time where, you know, safety is more important, and making sure things are fully baked is more important. And it depends what kind of regulations are involved as well when it comes to, you know, what band these things operate on, all that kind of stuff. I mean, there have to be certain guidelines that they have to stay within, of course.
Yeah. This, I'm less worried about innovating that way than like I would have been with like rolling out 5G without like proper testing and, you know, like you said, certain safety features when different technology, if you're utilizing AI to like move the vehicles around and things like that, what happens when the car drives itself? That kind of innovation's a little more scary. I'm still not ready to jump in a car and let it drive me yet.
One thing
I'll get a watch before I get a car that drives.
I would get a car that would drive me by itself, but I don't have to have a car that drives me by itself. I'm perfectly happy. I love driving. So, I mean, I'm perfectly happy. I even love driving where I live, where there's just a lot of traffic and a lot of reasons not to like driving, but I love driving.
You think AI can get you around that Jersey Turnpike better than you?
No, not better. That's the thing. It would definitely not be better. It might be more efficient overall, but even the way I drive now is influenced by AI, because what I'm watching, my phone, like my mom jokes about it when we're driving in the car. Like she'll say, you know, oh, we should make a left at the whatever. And I'm like, I'm just, you know, following the blue line because I know where we're going. I already told the phone like where we're going, and it knows what the traffic conditions are. It knows that road is closed. It knows that there's an accident over there. So I just have it on because it'll tell me these things. It'll even tell me when there's an object in the road. So like, you know, there's a tire in the road. It'll say, oh, warning, you know, object on the road ahead. So I'll be more vigilant. I'll be able to see where it is, be able to avoid it earlier. So I find it very useful to even plug it in, you know, directions on my phone when I know where I'm going, because it, you know, it tells me these things. But that's an example of how AI is improving my driving, you know, but that's me choosing to look at it and choosing to use that information properly,
Yeah, considering how men are so stubborn when it comes to getting driving directions, and we've come a long way. And like Maha says, like almost all cell phones now are being armed with AI assistance, like
Yep.
Iron Man.
Yeah, little mini Jarvis. Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely 2026 is gonna be a big movement when it comes to our mobile devices and the use of AI. These AI chips, they're being made and they're being put into them. So we are definitely seeing the future coming at us quick. And this channel, awesome channel to keep up with this. He's always covering the next thing down the road. So at Kiro Show 9598, keep up with that technology.
And this is the kind of thing that I would be an early adopter on, like something like something with electric cars, for example. I was not an early adopter on, but a car is a big purchase, and going electric, you have to have the infrastructure in place and all that. I live in an apartment, so it just would not have worked for me for an electric car, as an example. But certain things I would be an early adopter on, and this is the kind of thing that I would like to check out, because I do like the idea of getting away from the screens, the whole reflections of screens. I mean, you still have to deal with things like lighting conditions and things like that are going to still be an issue when it comes to visibility and optimal conditions, let's say. But
Like he mentioned, the watch, if it's utilizing AI properly, it detects the scenario and whether you are in like outdoor sun, and this thing's not going to be as visible as it would be if you weren't.
Right. And that's the thing, is that there's still only there's only so much brightness it can add, if there's bright sunlight coming through. So it might just be like, hey, go over there. go stand in the shade.
I would love to beta test something like that. So maybe Shy owes me a watch.
Ooh, there you go. Xiaomi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So now that we've gotten teased with technology, we're going to get to some serious talk here about making deals in the music industry. And if you happen to be in a situation where, if you are like, say, a beat maker, in the case of DJ Payne here, if you all of a sudden are getting like a lawsuit for a beat, which is really why I wanted to discuss this one. Drum beats and things like that were not typically on the radar of copyright written issues. And it seems like over the last couple of years, we're starting to see precedents here that may lead us to a point where actual drum beats become, we've seen it with loops. GarageBand, for instance, if you use drum loops from GarageBand, turns out Apple was copywriting those loops, and it's become a problem. In 2025, there were a lot of people reporting having their music being taken down because the drum beats that they use in a program that's as popular as GarageBand, and DJ Payne talked about that too. That was one that I came across last year with him.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about the with GarageBand, the drummers, where you can select a particular drummer and that style of drumming that they do, and adjust their playing. It's not really a loop. It's really, you're changing the whole thing within the framework of their style.
Yeah, and what you're going to see with this kind of situation here, some of it does fall back to sampling, and some of these people who are doing these reggaeton type beats are using samples,
right?
But not all of them. And the kind of precedents that might get set here, when, if a court establishes that, like, yes, these people created the reggaeton sound and therefore should be compensated anytime somebody makes a reggaeton song, what's going to happen if that starts to bleed into other genres that, get credited to like the first grunge band. If all of a sudden, are we gonna start like copywriting things to the genre innovators, the ones who actually like create a new genre? I hope that's not going to be the case in the future. Otherwise, nobody's going to want to play those genres.
The question is, how much does something need to change to not be a problem, right? Like if there is a particular reggaeton beat that they want to say, okay, you can't do boom, cha boom, cha boom, cha boom, cha. Like you can't do that. Okay, fine. So you have to add a little change to the element, like one extra hit somewhere, and it'll be fine. Or leave one out somewhere, and it'll be fine.
It still sounds absurd to me to have a judge say that a boom cha boom is somehow identifiable in such a way that you have to pay this person for this kick snare combination. What happens if we start doing that with guitar strumming and riffing and like, oh my God, you played a 1-5-4, but you strummed it this way, and you now have to pay Guns N' Roses Slash for playing it that way. I just
That's why we
can't see how that could work.
We hope that anytime these come up, excuse me, that the judges would fall on the side of what makes sense. But let's see what they have to say. Just be sure.
Well, like we've seen in the past, when you get to weird court cases like this, sometimes you're not dealing with judges who understand the industry that they may be judging and setting the kind of legal precedents that now we're going to have to fight lawyers in the future who say, well, this judge decided this, and if that's the case, then we can justify it over here and over here. You know how legal precedence works there.
Yeah. But also, I don't know, if something is out of line or something does get, set as a precedent and it shouldn't have, there are enough common sense things that should go against that in order to have it turned back around.
Yeah.
But let's see what the case is, though, just to see.
Yeah. So this one's coming from at DJ Payne 1. Excellent conversation on this particular situation, and one that I felt going into 2026, this is one of those new things that wasn't an issue till 2025. And what are we going to see this year? Not just here, but across the music industry. We've seen it with AI lawsuits. Like a lot changed in the last couple of months. You mix this in with it, and you're gonna have to be visiting Miss Crystal's channel like every day to see like what's going on with this shit.
Yeah, it does change that fast.
Yep. So reggaeton, I hope there's a future for you, and if we have to give away a chunk of our royalties to do the genre, I hope it goes to the right people.
There you go.
Imagine if you made a trap beat. You really liked it, it ended up getting placed, it became a hit single, and then out of nowhere, a producer from the 90s comes out and sues you because they claim that your hi-hat bounce was invented by them and therefore they own the copyrights to the rhythm in your beat. Imagine you make a EDM beat and a house producer from the 80s comes and sues you for the 4 on the floor rhythm and some of the swing that you put in your drum pattern. You didn't sample them. You didn't remake their beat. You just made a beat that sounded like pretty much everything else in the genre, and now you're getting sued. Well, this is actually happening. It's happening to reggaeton artists. And so a lot of artists, a lot of producers, a lot of labels are being sued right now. I've talked about this before. I've covered this case before, but now there's an update, and the update really drives a couple points home, especially the point about the copyrightability of a drum pattern. People, producers, all of you love jumping in the comments and saying, you can't copyright a drum beat, you can't copyright a rhythm, you can't copyright a drum pattern. So why has this lawsuit been dragging on for so long in front of multiple judges and maybe going to trial very soon? I know a lot of producers are nervous because if this lawsuit actually works, think about the other genres, the other producers that could come out and sue tens of thousands, if not millions of artists right after this happens. Pretty crazy. So if you're curious to know what that update is, let's get right into it. I think the Suno lawsuit's a little bigger than this, but this is huge for production. We've talked about this before, to give a recap. There are two dancehall producers, well, the estate of one, because one of them has passed, who produced a instrumental in 1989 that pretty much defined the reggaeton sound, and then a derivative of it. So the original one is Fish Market, and then there's Pounder, and Pounder really became the quintessential reggaeton sound. It's been sampled, it's been interpolated, it's been replayed, and now they're suing virtually the entire genre of reggaeton and a lot of pop artists because they've incorporated that sound too. So the update is that effectively the judge, they're at an impasse right now. So U.S. District Judge Andre Barati Jr. declined to rule. So he hasn't made a ruling yet. This has been ongoing for well over a year, I want to say. They called it a sprawling lawsuit. It says, the judge said the sprawling lawsuit ultimately turns on dueling expert testimony, so probably musicologists, over whether the Jamaican producer's drum pattern, including kick, snare, hi-hat, and tom elements, was sufficiently original to support claims that thousands of reggaeton artists unlawfully copied it. He says, I have to decide as a matter of law for one side or the other when there's an army of experts basically shooting at each other, Barati said, referring to the numerous reports of musicologists, the plaintiffs and defendants filed to support their arguments. If the Barack Obama appointee denies both sides' requests for summary judgment, which would resolve the dispute based on undisputed facts, wild sentence, the case would proceed to a jury unless the parties settle. So this is just a crazy case. I don't think the parties are going to settle if they've been fighting like this forever, and one side wants a piece of, 1,000 songs or 1,000 artist songs. I think it's tens of thousands of songs, honestly, maybe more. And then the other side wants to not give that up. There's no way there's going to be a settlement. I don't know. What are your initial reactions to this update? Because I have some points, some lessons.
Like I'm curious to hear the lessons because I have no idea. Like I don't know what this sounds. I think it's kind of a wild thing, but it sounds like there's some legitimacy to this. I didn't know before you brought this up, obviously, that there was like a sound that resonates through the entire genre that pretty much helps define the genre. If you wouldn't have brought this up, I would have. That's a wild thing to say. Like, does that exist in any other genre? Like where
it does actually. I would say it exists in New Orleans bounce, and I would say it exists in drum and bass.
Well, that's a very specific niche. Like, I can understand that just by the title of the genre. Like, but yeah. So I'm looking forward to hearing the learnings from this because I have no idea. Like, it's interesting. But yeah, feel free.
Number one, I think the biggest takeaway, which is what you alluded to, Dame, was that number two, judges aren't musicologists or musicians. And so that's why, you see this judge expressing frustration that he doesn't know which side to believe because they're all making valid points. This lawsuit hinges on musical nuances. So of course it's dragging on because this judge doesn't make beats. This judge didn't go to college for music. He didn't go to the school of music. He doesn't know what FL Studio is. He probably isn't a dance hall fan. Maybe he is. I don't know. Number three, I'd say either way it goes, it's going to have an impact on production because to me, if you're a fan of the genre, and I am, pounder rhythm to me is what I hear in the vast majority of reggaeton songs. But this case is a lot more complicated because the plaintiffs are claiming that their original track, Fish Market, inspired pounder, and pounder was a derivative, and therefore they can sue for anyone using either their beat or a derivative of their beat. So that strikes me as much more complex and confusing than anything. Number 4, and I would love this. This is I say this all the time. We talk about sampling and sample clearance. Clearance just needs to be easier, because imagine if every reggaeton producer was just able from jump to streamline the process and say, you know what, I'm going to give 3 to 5% to Steely and Clevie just to cover my ass. You know, and that was just kind of like the statutory minimum or something. And so they accept it because that's how they have to act. You know, it'd be like, it's like cover songs. When someone covers a song, you don't need to get clearance. You just have to negotiate, or you have to give them the agreed upon mechanical license terms and all that. Why can't we do this for sampling? I think the only reason is because sampling entails a sound recording, and who owns sound recordings? The label, traditionally, and labels don't want to give up power. They want to negotiate. And then also because there may be other stuff going on, given who tends to sample what genres, what people, and they want to just kind of make that more complicated. But yeah, think about that. If these 2 plaintiffs had just gotten 5% of every reggaeton song that was released, that would be tens of millions of dollars. They wouldn't be suing anybody. They'd be happy. They'd be generationally wealthy. So I think this is just crazy, and I'm on the edge of my seat, but I don't think we're going to get an update for a while. That these things move so slowly, and I have to imagine that a lot of labels, a lot of producers, and a lot of artists in the genre are also just kind of biting their nails, waiting to see what happens.
Wild situation for sure.
Really wild situation.
Very much.
Especially when he starts mentioning derivatives of a beat. I mean, you see why this kind of got me a little worked up.
I do. And that's the thing, is there's, there does have to be a line drawn, right? Like certain things are definitely a copy of whatever. And I get that everything that is in that reggaeton style has that sound. Like I talked about it, like that sound is in there. Like I hear that sound, I know that's a reggaeton song, but that, to me, that's just a style definition. That's not something that is, that's not something that is copyrightable.
Just
like you said, 4 on the floor.
A style.
Well, and he was saying 4 on the floor. I mean, that's a good example too, because that is, just 4 kick beats on the floor. That's something that's very common. You see it in a lot of songs, but you can't copyright, a beat on the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4. I mean, you can't make that a copyright. So how small or how large of an element does it have to be to make it copyrightable and distinct like that?
Well, and how big of an impact will it have on how many people? If we're talking thousands to tens of thousands of songs and artists just for reggaeton, which is not like a really huge genre. Mm-hmm. If this starts to go in other genres, and well, if they can copyright a sound or a style or a rhythmic approach, you could have millions who are affected in the music world by something like that. I hope that the lawyers and the ones who are going through this from both sides don't lose sight of that.
Yeah. And it does have wide-reaching, implications for sure.
Yeah. One of the craziest of legal scenarios that I heard of for last year. Thank you at DJ Payne 1.
Yeah.
Like I said, he doesn't bullshit his advice, his perspective. He's always straight up about what he's covering. I definitely want to check out his feelings on the whole Suno thing.
You mentioned, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure he's got some opinions there. So I'll be back, DJ Payne. Yeah, that one was an important one.
Indeed.
Yeah, and this one I think is also something that's important. This one's called Freshy channel here at XJ_Will over on YouTube, and I've gone into like the sync licensing and what it is and what it takes to actually get a sync license, which is not cheap in some cases, and it's a big thing when you're actually making videos on YouTube and official videos and things like that. Sync licenses are important, and in his case, he got an opportunity to, whether it's a commercial or movie trailer, the kinds of things where sync licenses are super important. Uh, if you're that producer, that musician, video editor who's going to be putting all that stuff together, which I think Will does, you don't want to miss an opportunity there because it can cost you a lot if it's the wrong project. Here, he lost $100,000 sync deal because the amount of time that it took to get the ducks in a row didn't jive with what the client was demanding. And in the end, the client's the one who kind of dictates that timeline more than the producer. And what he does here is he talks about this scenario, the things that like kind of got in the way, and some tips on like how you can avoid this if you're ever given an opportunity like this.
Yeah, it's good to be able to get things lined up because again, it's no fun when things don't line up right and you end up missing a big deadline like that or whatever the case was here.
A big opportunity for a nice paycheck.
Exactly.
So earlier this year, I lost $100,000. Not because my music wasn't good enough. I lost it because when the opportunity actually showed up, I wasn't ready and didn't even realize it until it was too late. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 3 mistakes that cost me the deal so that you don't have the same problem in 2026. Most producers think that sync deals are won by talent, but that's usually not the case. They usually die because we're slow and scatterbrained. When that email hit my inbox, I had a real shot. Huge budget, but it had really, really tight deadlines. And in sync licensing, speed wins. Stress is a symptom. So let me show you where I actually went broke. I got this email from a music supervisor. It was for a major brand campaign, 6-figure budget for the music. And they actually loved one of my tracks and asked me for 4 more of them. But I only had about 48 hours. They needed the final files, confirm rights that I actually own the music, and then sign the agreement. Sounds super simple, right? It wasn't. First reason why is because I had multiple different names for the same song because it changed over time due to having vocals added to it and the hook being the title of the song. So one was like Final Version 7, another one was like a completely different name. They didn't tell me what version of the mix they actually liked. So I'm opening up projects trying to figure out, was it this one that they actually liked? Was it that one? And then emailing back and forth. They weren't getting back to me immediately. So I'm digging through hard drives, opening up projects, second guessing and panicking all over the place. So take it from me, if it takes more than 2 minutes to find the actual files you're looking for, you're gambling. But that file chaos was just the beginning. I couldn't remember what publishing situation the track had been signed between 2 or 3 different music libraries and agencies. And on top of that, I also worked with a collaborator on that song. And we never locked in the splits because we were writing songs at such a fast pace that we just never got the paperwork done. Now I'm emailing a bunch of people at once, trying to solve legal questions in real time, which is not fun. So if the rights aren't clear, just don't even bother using the track. It's not available. By the time I got a chance to hit the music supervisor back, 3 days had passed. And they were like, hey, no problem. We already found another song. Big opportunities like that don't announce themselves twice. They end up replacing you, and that kind of sucks. So here's how I fixed it, because I had the sound they wanted, but just couldn't deliver those clean files fast enough. These are really simple rules that you should be implementing in 2026 if you haven't already. First thing, you need a file system, a folder for everything, a folder for your finals, a folder for your stems, and one naming rule to rule them all. That way nothing ever breaks when it comes to finding specific songs. That way you're building a catalog that you can actually deliver to. Because in 2026, especially with AI, I think that ownership is going to be very important, and you need to understand how to find those files. Because being disorganized is just a stupid way to lose money. And that includes working with collaborators. You have to be very organized. I was trying to confirm collaborators, the splits, and clearance while the clock was ticking. And that's backwards. Every song should have its own split agreement showing who owns what at the end of the day. So in 2026, for me, paperwork is actually going to be part of the production process. The song's not finished unless those things are taken care of. But even with clear rights and things of that nature,
let me introduce myself. I'm a human like you. I just need sharing right now. That's what you care for?
No thanks, I'm good.
I know you're busy, so I won't bother you any further. But I want to know, symbolically, do you partake?
No.
Very good.
No worries, bro.
That's all.
All right, well, have a good one.
Take care, gentlemen.
Music producers chase a lot of the wrong things when it comes to what actually makes them money. For instance, back before I even got into sync licensing, I spent years chasing streams, trends, trying to find ways to expose people to my music that didn't really care. At the end of the year, you might have a couple $100 if you ended up going viral. But meanwhile, at that point in time, I was actually losing more money every year because I didn't understand how sync licensing worked, because a brand could have paid me a few $1,000s for the same song, just for math's sake. If I spent 10 hours making a bunch of Instagram reels, I probably would have, at the end of the year, maybe netted about $200. Whereas if I spent those same 10 hours pitching to music supervisors, music libraries, and really getting into this as a full-time job, I had 2 placements that ended up being about $12,000 instead. It's a huge difference. Same investment time, different outcome. So essentially in 2026, if it doesn't lead to pay, it's a broken path. I wouldn't even waste my time. What I'm trying to do this year is really hyper-focus on exactly what kind of places I want to see my music monetized from in the realm of sync licensing, instead of going for every different TV opportunity, maybe focusing on specific brands with a specific sound. That way I become the go-to expert for that genre. If we don't have specificity in our goals, they won't get accomplished. Clear targets, delete distractions. Here's where most people get stuck. They think that motivation will actually end up carrying them through the year, and that's not the case at all. In my opinion, motivation is kind of like a scam. It only shows up when you feel like it. For instance, you could be watching YouTube videos for hours thinking you have all the information, but if you're not actually doing anything or plotting out exactly how you're going to do said thing, it's not going to happen. So what I'm doing this year is I'm building a simple tracking system. It's like a spreadsheet that shows the rights to a song after I'm finished making it, who I sent it to, if I followed up with them, and then whatever opportunity it actually landed with. That way I can see exactly where my music's being used. Whenever that same pressure shows up, you're able to capitalize on it without having to look anywhere. It's all on a sheet. Readiness isn't a feeling, it's based off of a system. I didn't lose that $100,000 deal because the track wasn't good enough. I lost it because I wasn't ready. So if you do anything else in 2026, make sure that you're organized, stop funding dead paths that waste your time, and then install some type of system that you can run on a weekly basis. If you do those 3 things, I guarantee you're going to be in a completely different spot next year. The industry doesn't educate us on how to do these kinds of things. It just selects the people that are doing it naturally. If you're trying to build a real income from your music, you need some type of operating system, which is why we have the Sync Alliance. We're not just running information in a course or organizing those kinds of templates so you can deliver really fast. We help you with the pitching process, so there's no more guessing. We're giving you access to those decision makers that are choosing the music that gets used on television and film, so that it's not collecting digital dust on your hard drive. In this next video, I'm going to show you exactly what a couple music supervisors are looking for before they even press play.
Oh, I will be checking out that next video for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, the Sync Alliance, definitely want to know more about that too.
Yep.
And
definitely.
The big advice I got there, clear targets and avoid distractions.
And a good
Very
naming,
awesome.
good file system, that's something that you and I just have kind of built in. I mean, that's
Yeah.
we've had decades of, going back to when it was difficult to maintain a file system because you had certain constraints you had to stay within and all of that. So yeah, we get that.
We've actually had nights where we covered like being organized and like properly like naming folders and putting things like that. That's one of the important reasons why I wanted this video in here, because that advice can be reinforced over and over again. You got to have your material organized and ready when you get that right situation. You don't want to be hunting like, where is this file, especially if you're working with other people.
Yeah, for sure.
If you can't find your own shit, how the hell are you going to get it to them so that they are on the same channel?
Yeah. And that's also where having, if possible, having somewhere online where it's saved. Like, I have a Dropbox, whatever, but somebody having some kind of a place online where you could have those final things sat so that you don't have to go searching for them. They're literally already right there.
Yeah. If anything, those online storages, especially if they are multi-collabers sharing the same storage, it's even more important to be organized in that shared cloud than on your local hard drive.
Indeed.
But it does start at home. Like your habits and what you do locally reflect on what you store in the cloud, especially when you're working with other people.
Sorry, need a
Projects
minute.
like
Jump into that next one if you would.
projects like this, it's important to do that. Yes, our next one, we're going to get into songwriting, and with a channel that we found last year that covers writing songs in the perfect way. It's at Write a Song over on YouTube, and you will find tons of tips and tricks on starting the writing process, how to approach it. What sometimes works and what doesn't work in writing a song. And in this particular case, this video I chose because it really does cover a battle that I have sometimes when I'm writing a song on whether to take a piano approach, which is my go to, or using a guitar to kind of flesh out the chords, the approach on strumming. You know, some songs will lend themselves to a strumming guitar more than they will to arpeggiating piano, and knowing whether you've got a song that's better started this way or better started that way is something to think about. So, at Write a Song is going to show us writing a song on guitar versus piano and the advantages and disadvantages on both sides. And in his case, he is a guitarist. He does tend to think from that side, but he looks at the piano side as well. Gotta love it.
The guitar and piano are the most popular instruments for songwriters, and for good reason. They are both relatively easy to learn and give you access to sounds that are used widely in popular music. But deciding what one to use for writing your songs can be a nightmare. So full disclosure here, I'm a guitarist. I've played the guitar for over 25 years and it's where I feel the most comfortable writing songs. But if you've watched many of the older videos on this channel, you'll know that they primarily use the piano. There are many reasons for this, but I hope as you watch this video, you'll begin to unpick the differences and come to your own conclusions. Let's start by taking a simple 1-4-5 C major key progression, C, F, G, and play it on guitar and piano for an initial comparison. I can't play the piano very well, so piano examples will use software, but they have a realistic sound that can still help you to decide for yourself. The first thing people consider when deciding between these instruments is the learning curve. Which one should I dedicate time to learning if my end goal is writing songs? The guitar is often praised as easy to pick up but hard to master. You only need to know 3 or 4 basic open chords and you have the foundations of countless pop songs at your fingertips. Combine these with a simple strumming pattern and you can simply sing over these chords to write songs. This is how many singer-songwriters do their thing. For example, add A minor to the 3 chords we saw in the first example, and you have the widely used 1-5-6-4 progression. Here's how that sounds strummed in the key of G major. The downsides for the new guitarist is pain. It takes time to be able to finger even simple chords. This is due to the need for calluses forming on the fingers and the development of proper technique. Buzzing strings, unclean notes, and what seem like an age trying to change chords can make the early part of playing the guitar frustrating. But once you are over this initial dip, strumming basic chords becomes muscle memory, allowing new songwriters to focus on singing or coming up with lyrics. Many people find it easier to sing and play guitar at the same time than sing and play the piano. So the guitar can often provide a quicker path to simple accompaniment for the beginner. If you want some help with your own songwriting journey on the guitar, then I can help you with my weekly newsletter. Sign up today at writeonguitar.com or click the link in the description. The piano, or the keyboard, is often considered technically and musically superior as a songwriting instrument by music experts. The most obvious advantage is its extensive range and polyphonic power. A piano spans over 7 octaves, from deep bass notes to sparkling high notes. You can play with both hands, allowing chords, bass lines and melodies to intertwine. Practically, this means a pianist can simulate an entire band or orchestra on the keyboard. A left hand can lay down low bass notes or chord foundations, whilst the right hand plays melodies or harmonies up high. You can even play 10 notes simultaneously, 1 per finger, if needed, far beyond a guitar's capabilities. For example, look at this 1-5-6-4 interpretation on the piano. Listen to how, compared to the same progression in the key of G major that we heard earlier on the guitar, the piano has a much wider range that is simply impossible on the guitar. Another huge plus for the piano is its logical layout. The white keys are the natural notes and the black keys are the accidentals. So even before knowing any theory, a beginner can just play white notes and start to sound musical straight away. And this is one of the reasons why I use the piano so extensively early on this channel. It's just easier to explain musical concepts with. But piano also has some downsides. The most obvious one is portability. A traditional piano is like a piece of furniture that needs more than one person to move. You can't just pick it up and go anywhere to make music spontaneously. Now, it's worth noting that pianos come in many flavours. You could have a battery-powered keyboard or MIDI device that plugs into your phone or laptop, but you still need a source of power and or another device to plug into. It simply can't compete on this front with the versatility of an acoustic guitar. Historically, the other issue was cost. Traditionally, pianos have cost more than guitars, but the range of smaller modern devices means that this is less of an issue now. So guitar and piano have pros and cons. But which one should the budding songwriter choose? Well, ultimately it comes down to what you are most drawn to. Which one creates the sound that you like? Which one inspires you to both play and compose? Because if you don't want to play the instrument, you won't learn it to a level where you can write songs on it. This is a personal judgment. There are no right or wrong answers. If you're still struggling, maybe think about the type of music that you want to play and write. Guitar has an association with rock, metal and blues. This is due to cultural expectations of these genres, but also because of the rhythmic, percussive nature of the guitar. You can utilise techniques like palm muting to add crunch and attack, which combined with distortion and other effects can take your songs in entirely new directions that are simply not possible on the piano. To give you a simple example of this on the acoustic guitar, I'll play the example 1-5-6-4 G major key progression in an entirely new style. I'll use palm muting, power chords, bending notes and slides to provide a sound that you wouldn't be able to replicate on the piano. Piano has its own genre preferences. Think of classical compositions, jazz standards, and soul or gospel music. The dynamic range and more complex chords involved here are perfectly suited to the piano. And a big benefit for songwriting on the piano is you can play chords and melody together easily. This means you can compose more rapidly without the need to sing a tune. It better allows you to appreciate the interplay between harmony and melody, which means you can create nuanced and deliberately interesting sections to your songs quickly and simply. To give you a feel for this, in the next example, I'll play our 1-5-6-4 G major key progression again in the left hand on the piano, whilst the right hand sculpts a complementary melody on top. The gold standard that a lot of experienced songwriters recommend is to be familiar with both instruments. Even if your musical preferences lean towards one more than the other, being at least familiar with both instruments will open up your musical horizons. Then maybe you split the composition process between the instruments, starting on one and then seeing how it sounds on the other. This is a weakness I recognise in my own songwriting. I'm a guitarist and I can't play the piano at all well. But I do have an understanding of the instrument, at least from a music theory level, which does help me to think about the guitar in a different way. Ultimately, there are no winners and losers in music. The best tool for the job is the one that inspires you. And if you want to start your songwriting journey on the guitar, then check out the video on screen now.
Mm-hmm.
Do want to learn those things.
That's right. And as far as an instrument inspiring a song, like my buddy Mike, he got a 12 string at one time and he found a 12 string at a store, picked it up, started playing it and just bought it and wrote a song with it that night. And it was like the instrument and the song go together. It's like the song would not have happened without that particular instrument.
Oh yeah, well, a 12 string definitely for guitarists is kind of a whole new level of sound. It will push you in certain directions.
Mm-hmm. Yep, inspire the style. Yeah.
Yeah. What I liked about what he mentioned there, on the piano side, you do have more dynamics when it comes to your bass and your highs and what you can write for chords, having that full range.
Mm-hmm.
But on the guitar side, like he said, sometimes it's easier if you can sing and play the instrument very naturally.
Mm-hmm.
It is harder to sing and play the piano. I could do it on guitar way easier than when I'm doing it on piano.
I also think that when you're trying to sing and play an instrument like a guitar or a piano, if you're singing, you're not playing as intricate of a line. And when you're playing an intricate line, you're not singing. So like, that's where to me, it's, you're playing kind of background stuff or chirp chords and trying to sing around.
Yeah, see, that's why when I do try to sing and play the piano, the approach I'm taking on the piano, much simpler than my typical piano writing, where I'm trying to actually play like nice arpeggio, something fancy.
Mm-hmm.
I can't sing and do that at the same time. My brain doesn't multitask that way.
Yeah. And a lot of times with guitar, people will use a pedal for that, so that you can use a sample pedal and you can just, you go around once and put a little chords down, go around the second time and put a little lead line down. And, you can just noodle over that, for example, the whole time, now that you've got something in there, as a structure.
Yeah. Yeah. And his point about like a piano is a piece of furniture. You have to lug to like a jam session, where guitar is such a convenient little thing.
It is. Now there is that melodica that we talked about a couple of times, where you just kind of you blow into it and it's like a little octave and a half or whatever. So you can do a very portable keyboard. I do have don't remember exactly where it is. It's around here somewhere, but I do even have a portable keyboard that could be taken out to like a campsite somewhere as well.
Yeah,
I'll find it for next time.
I've got a couple of them too, like battery powered Yamaha that in a pinch, if I really wanted to get a piano sound in 61 keys and it runs on battery.
Exactly. And, good enough for a campfire for sure. That's the thing, is it's not going to be a studio brand or whatever, but, it'll be a quality enough sound to get the idea across.
Yeah, and I am a little fussy. I like to have more keys. 76 is kind of my minimum if I'm really trying to write on a piano. But if I had to, 61 keys and a jam, I could do it.
And that's the thing, is this one right here is the 61. This is the, which one we got here? Yeah, this one over here is the Casio 61. And then I have the 88 also, that's in front of me here. But that's where kind of, it's just, that's where my keyboard, the computer keyboard and mouse are sitting on top of like the keyboard cover for the 88. So it's close.
Well, in 88, you can actually, I wish they would make one that incorporates a computer keyboard into it. My next 88, I would buy one if it would just put a mouse and or a trackball with a keyboard into the keyboard.
What happened? No, this time it was a button hit. Like my button, or as I was reaching for the trackball to show you, hey, look, the trackball, because I got this one just like yours, because we both use that. What happened?
I'm trying to get Ange over to that because her mouse has been acting up, and I'm like, go with
Come
the
to the dark
Logitech
side.
track. Once you go track, you don't go back.
It is, you know. I mean, the thing is, I can always adjust to whatever. So, like, you know, some people once they do switch to one thing, that's it for them. But doing tech support for so long, I had to adjust to anything that anybody had on their desk. So they have the Monster Ball, they have this. I had somebody who had something that I'd never seen before, but it was basically a foam roller, like a very small one, like the size of a pen, roller below the space bar that would roll up and down to move the cursor up and down and would
Yeah.
slide back and forth on its axle to move the cursor left and right. So it's like you're just like, whoa, this is so weird. Trying to get like over here and then click on something and then get over there and do something else. But
Yeah,
it was to avoid the carpal tunnel.
Lenovo tried a couple of different approaches there with their ThinkPads. They had the butterfly stick, and they had that little roller ball that was kind of like a trackpad, except it was a giant roller ball that you could roll up and down and go left and right.
Yep. One that I liked was this is going way back now, but this was one of the early laptops. It had like a very tiny version of this, you know, trackball, but it was like a little trackball, but it would like you could just break it right off the side of the laptop. Was it a Toshiba or a
There was I had a Toshiba that had like a little trackball,
like
in
a
it
breakaway trackball, right? Like
which
it
I
was
was
just
like, the satellites.
there you go.
Yeah, they tried that with the satellites, and I thought it was such a cool idea until I actually got one.
Better in principle than in execution. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, you know, it looks great and it's a great idea, but how did it work out? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it cost me $1,000 to find out.
Yeah. I was seeing them in a corporate environment, so it wasn't really, you know, my laptop, but I just had to support them for other people.
Yeah. This was one I actually bought on my own.
Sure.
So I love this advice from guitar to piano and what you can do to write a song. I love that. Like I'm hearing it from. He's a natural guitarist. His channel focuses typically on writing a song from the guitar perspective, but he sees it from both sides. I think he sees it from all sides.
The one thing about the guitar, like I was thinking about the fact that most of the, you know, the low string and the high string are 2 octaves apart, right? So for most things, you're not stretching more than a little more than 2 octaves as far as the high note and the low note on what you're stretching or hitting with a chord in one hand. And you can get a little bit beyond that by using like the lowest note and fretting notes that are up higher that happen to match that note, for example. Or you can do things where tapping with the other hand, you can tap way high on the fretboard to get things that are multiple octaves away, but you're getting a little technical when you start doing stuff like that. Whereas on a piano, it's natural to be able to just, you know, if you can play something that's nearby, you know, within 2 octaves with 2 hands, then you can move each hand out an octave and it's the same thing, you know, and it's not that difficult. It's not like you're stretching, like moving your arms way out, trying to stretch, you know, to the edge of the neck or something. On a piano, you can stretch out an octave or 2 either direction without too much difficulty.
Oh, I wish I could tap and hammer on like Eddie on the keyboard. I'm sure there's a way.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff, Fat Opus fan, howdy.
Nice.
Good to have you.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those that has to do with the action on the keyboard, right? You can't do that on a weighted keyboard. You can't do like really, really fast. Like you need the little bouncy keys.
I need the right sound to simulate it because I can do like that kind of thing, but if you don't have the right sound, it doesn't sound like hammer-ons.
Yeah, no, for sure. It takes some massaging to make it just right.
Yeah. So, great advice on writing a song at Write a Song. Oh, the channel says it all in the name.
Says it all right there.
Yeah, whenever we do songwriting nights, this is one of our go-tos now.
Nice.
And Freshie channel we got here at 9 Core Neil. When we do our guitar channels, gonna be adding this one because he's another guitarist who covers all the things that guitarists like to talk about. And when I saw this one, he was saying, you know, do you have small hands? I do. And it's part of the reason why I ended up going with keyboard, because with stubby small hands, the keyboard was a little easier to pick up for me. But I wanted to be a guitarist, and if there had been some options there when I was 12 that might have made it easier for like approaching it, I would have maybe stuck with the guitar a little bit more.
Nice. I remember, I did piano as a kid, so I'd always done that. With the bigger hands, the piano is easier for me for the certain stretches, like playing from a C to an E, getting that 10th sound is like something that's very easy for me. And like a lot of other people, that would be like an octave is a bit of a stretch. So just trying to hit an octave.
An octave is as much as I can stretch. When you start saying play 11, I mean, I have to use both hands to get those.
Like that's a C to an F, and that's with one hand. So.
Oh, you fucking show off.
and it sounds like that. It does sound cool, but it puts distance between the notes. And you wouldn't do that very often in a song because that is kind of a big stretch to do. But it is something that you can do.
Yeah, like Jeff says, where there's a will, there's a way. I will get that 11th and that 13th if I have to grow another hand.
It's like if I hold down the C, I can hold down the G and manage to get my pinky over there to also hold it down. But like, there's no way I could play that C to the G, but almost from the C to the G.
Got to be strategic.
Yep.
Or get the right equipment. What Neil's going to show us is a brand that's designed for those who might have smaller hands or, kids. When it comes to like kids who are really picking things up at a young age, having these kinds of instruments, we've looked at pianos. Me and Ange were actually looking at a company that makes little violins last week. And there is one company out there who actually makes a little violin that sounds like a big one, which is super tricky for that instrument.
No doubt.
For guitar, if you can get a good builder and an adjusted neck, you might be able to like get that stretch that you normally couldn't get.
I was thinking about an electric violin myself.
Yeah. Bust out the bow.
Yeah. Figure something out. My nephew picked up a viola at some point.
That's another one.
Just to get those bow articulations into certain songs because he's doing a music composition degree, so working on that stuff.
Yeah, viola and cello I have really come to appreciate in the last decade.
Yeah, for sure.
And I wouldn't kick a violin out of bed if if I could just get used to it. Tried it a couple times, just never could pick it up.
Well, to me, the fact that I can play a fretless bass right now, it's just take the fretless bass and like put it up on your chin and play it with a bow, and that's basically what a viola or any of those would really be. I understand the tuning might be different and all of that, but the concept is the same. The articulations, like some of the tremolo effects, for example, with the bigger hands, I can get a bigger tremolo effect. Like if I try to do that vibration on the string, like my hand just moves a lot of mass back and forth, so it'll make that sound articulate a lot easier.
Yes,
So
you
certain things like that.
You are massive.
This is true.
Well, I know every guitar feels like a small guitar in your hands, but this one might actually work for me.
Nice. Let's check it out.
Hi guys, how are you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Neil here, and today is a follow-up video for the one that I made earlier in the year, which was regarding small-handed players like myself. I have pretty small hands. I'm only 5'8", and there's a lot of other guys out there, and girls for that matter, that have small hands too, that play guitar and don't have the biggest reach in the world. Now, before you guys get on my case, yeah, I know that a lot of practice makes you better, and I totally get that, and it's right, and the more you play guitar, the easier it is to reach wherever you want. However, there are limitations involved, and also not everybody wants to be the next guitar prodigy. You know, not everybody has 4 hours a day, 3 hours a day, or even 1 hour a day spare to sit playing guitar. And I get what you put into guitar, you get back out, but I wanted to make this video today because for the majority of us, you know, most guitar players that are not like child prodigies or anything like that, or famous guitar players, because you're all going to reference Angus Young and Chinese kids that play a classical guitar that are better than any of us. You know, I'm going to get all those references, but this video is about regular people who are not necessarily guitar prodigies, you know, like myself. Over the last year or so, PRS have started sending me guitars. Now, before we get going on this one, I just want to clear things up here. I'm sat here with a PRS 40th anniversary t-shirt on. This was sent to me by PRS. I have the guitar that I'm going to talk about mostly in this video is a PRS that PRS have sent to me and gifted to me, okay? However, that particular guitar I had on order anyway. PRS knew about that and then decided to gift it to me without payment, and I play that guitar all the time, you know, so I always think that when guitars are sent out to YouTubers, if a YouTuber stands there, sits there, whatever, saying it's an awesome guitar, and then you never see the guitar again, but you know they actually have it still in their possession, then that tells me that they really didn't think it was that good. Whereas this guitar, obviously, I play it all the time. So what is cool about PRS guitars for guys with small hands is the actual scale length. And I've covered this before a few years ago in a video, but I've noticed this more with PRS. So I'm going to get this PRS guitar here off the rack. This is a McCarthy 594, beautiful top on that flame top. You probably won't see it very well with this ring light that I'm using today, but it's a great guitar. Now this is a really chunky neck. This is a vintage feel neck. It's a big neck. However, as with most PRS guitars, when they arrive, you only have to lower the bridge and get the action how you want it really. You don't have to mess with truss rods or anything like that. The necks are pretty straight and well set up. The frets are all level and nice. And that's the PRS quality, that's the PRS way anyway. However, once you've lowered the action, because the action can get low, even though this is a fat chunky neck, because it's short scale, I can reach much further on this guitar. So this scale length is shorter than a Gibson. It's a 24.594, which is where it gets its name from, the McCarthy 594. And it plays great. It's probably the most comfortable guitar to play out of all my guitars, especially when I'm talking about like riffing, like as you can see. So anything up here, it's nearer. Everything is more this way, so my shoulder's not in a bad position if I'm trying to get up here and play anything fast up here. Everything is compressed down and it's pretty nice. Up high, if you've got fat fingers, I guess you would struggle because things get a bit tight. I don't personally, it's just about right, this guitar. But for those guys that would struggle up high with fat fingers, or girls, there is other PRS guitars, and they're all, not all, but mainly all pretty short scale, and some have thinner necks. That's a vintage neck on there. But there is a McCarthy 594 thin line, which is obviously the same scale length as that guitar there. That has a much thinner neck and thinner body, and it's I'll put a screenshot on the screen, and it's not a super strat style, but it's like a double cutaway instead of a single cutaway, and you can access up high grade. It feels absolutely amazing. Really great guitar there. If you have fat fingers and want to get up high and that's too squashed down because it's a 594, then over there I can't show you it because they're boxed up ready to go back to PRS. They're loan guitars over there. But the 24 Custom has the thinner neck on there. It's not super thin, you know, it's not wafer thin like an Ibanez or a Jackson, but it's still slimmer than, you know, a vintage style neck like that one there. And those guitars are 25-inch scale length, guys. And believe me, I know it's only 0.5 of an inch, but you can tell the difference as soon as you pick it up if you're used to picking up and playing 25.5-inch scale lengths. So if you want a double cut guitar and you want the access up high, then I would highly recommend trying out a PRS 24 Custom that is 25-inch scale length. Really awesome to play, really comfortable. It's beveled, you know, the body's beveled and everything. The bevels get better obviously the more you pay. Like there's an SE version I've had on the channel a couple of times, and they are the most affordable ones. You know, you've got the CEs, which are bolt-ons, 25-inch scale again, they're awesome. And then you go up to the S2s, again, there's CEs in that range that are bolt-ons, but there's also the set necks as well, all 25-inch scale. length guitars. So check the specs, guys. Get on the PRS website, check the specs. This isn't a sales pitch. It's just something that I've noticed. I don't care what guitar you guys choose to play. This is not a paid video. This is a video that I'm just making because I've noticed that playing PRS guitars, although they don't have the skinniest necks on earth, they are still pretty quick and pretty easy to play for me, having small hands. One is due to the action being able to go so low from the factory. They come medium action setup, but it doesn't take much to lower them, and you don't have to mess with the truss rod. They're playing fast, and the other reason is, you know, you've got 25-inch scale length, which is a bit shorter, and then you also have the 24.59 which is the McCarty. So yeah, what I'm saying to you guys is just a follow-up of the other video. Try a PRS if you are a short guy or girl or have small hands, and you might be more comfortable. So just putting that out there as a follow-up to my other video. Thanks very much for watching, guys. That's all for now. Do not forget, below there is a Thomann affiliate link down there below. Anytime you use that link, go through that link, search for whatever you want, buy it, and it helps me out at this end. There's also a Sonic Cake affiliate link down there below as well. Use code Neil once you've gone through that link, and you get 10% off. That's it, guys. Got small hands, try a PRS because a shorter scale length is the long and short of it. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you all soon.
Oh, it's a Paul Reed Smith guitar.
Oh, yeah.
Brand.
Yeah, the old PRS. Nice.
And I like these review channels where, you know, they're not coming at it from like an endorsement, like paid sponsorship approach. They're just giving their actual opinions. Those are my favorite review channels on YouTube.
Yeah, and the fact that you had, you know, a very nice guitar from them on order, like he already knows, you know, them for that. And those are some beautiful guitars, like that one, the darker one. Oh, the beautiful color on that as well.
Yeah, yeah. He's not just the client; he's also the president.
I was thinking that. Good stuff.
Well, he's definitely coming back for our guitar night, because I'm looking at like some of these videos, and he covers like, you know, pickups, different guitars, guitar pick, which I think we had a whole night on just guitar picking and guitar picks.
There's one that they were talking about in one video that was the $35 guitar pick, right? The blue chip pick, I think they called it. It was the one that John Mayer was using. It was one that's just a very big, solid pick. And they were saying, if you don't think a pick affects your sound, try this pick because it'll, you know, whatever, it just happens to have, like they say, it really affects the sound.
If I'm paying $35 for it, it better play the part for me.
Well, I'm also not throwing it out into the crowd when I'm done.
No.
Of course, you might hurt somebody the size of that thing too.
Yeah. My buddy Scott, he's been waiting he got some heavy picks.
Nice.
Like Jeff says, don't be picky.
Some of the ones I have are like
depending on the guitar, you might need to be picky.
how fat is that? I mean, this is one of the fat ones. I guess you can't really tell at all, but it's
That's
one of the ones
chunker.
that's like, it's a chunker. It's like the size of like I call it the size of like a ceramic tile, but it's one of the ones that's like it's a larger jazz pick.
Well, who's the guitarist that you is it Brian Mays that does the penny?
The coin at some point.
Yeah, you got to be hardcore to pull it off with a coin.
No, this is where my bass picks all ended up, but this is where the felt pick and the rubber pick ended up. This is like a fat.
Those are both chunkers. Hell yeah.
These are super fat. The thing is with the felt one is as you're playing, actually with both, as you play, if you play and let the pick land back on the string, it mutes it, so you can go like thump. And it's like a thump, 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 so you can get like a nice little self-muting.
You get a unique sound out of the pick that way.
Exactly. And that's why I had it, really. Like when I first started playing, I'm sorry, I'm looking down here. I'm digging through like a bunch of different picks I had here. I was trying to find the big stubby, because that's the one that's the most unique of all of them in the shape. You remember that one, right? It's like very rounded, and it's got like a crater on each side. So when you go to hold it, pinch it between the two fingers, like it's not going anywhere. Like it's in there. So that's why I really like that one.
Ergonomic.
Yeah, it's very much so. But that's, when it comes to the picks, I have experimented with a number of different types, a number of different materials, the stiff picks versus the flat, the flappy picks. Some of the guitar players I work with, like I've worked with players who play very fast, like jazz stuff, with the thick picks that are like a ceramic floor tile. My buddy Joey plays very fast rock licks, and he does all of that with the super thin picks, where they disintegrate in his hands. Like halfway through a practice, you'll just like toss the remains of the pick over there and grab it.
Well, that's how you know if it disintegrates while you play. And Virus says, yeah, Billy Gibbons uses a peso.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is, using just something like that, something solid. For me, I almost never use a pick. I almost always play finger style. But when I do use a pick, I'll usually just grab a Fender medium, because it's the thing I know that I'd be able to try to get used to, because I figure I could find that anywhere. But I do like the thicker picks, actually, or the ones that have some kind of a texture to them. Like I have some of the kind of paper thin gray picks here they have some texture on them, that like some how to describe it. It's like little dots almost. You wouldn't be able to see this at all, I'm sure, but there's a texture on the pick where it won't slide off. It's
I do kind of see a texture.
It's like a field of dots almost. It's a field of dots, so that when you grab it, like it won't actually spin. Because one of the things that happens with picks a lot of the time is you're using it and it's fine, but then as you're going, it'll start spinning to where it's now you're no longer using the corner. You're starting to use the edge, and it's going around. But with these, they have some texture. Another one I had has a bunch of holes in it, and it also helps to keep it there, because then the part of your finger kind of pushes into where the holes are and kind of keeps it in place that way too. So there's a number of different mechanical things that can keep picks in place. But I've experimented with a bunch of different ones and haven't really settled on a particular one. But I do like the fact that they all affect the sound and the playing differently.
Yeah. Well, you can pick your friends and you can pick your nose, but don't use your friend's nose to play guitar.
That's right. Not nice, especially if they're not paying attention and they're sleeping.
Well, they better have a good nose if you're the one playing them.
Exactly.
Oh, that was good, Neil. Yeah, you will be back for our next guitar night, and we are going to have some guitar nights in 2026. It's one of our favorite instruments.
Absolutely.
And to finish things off, math rock, something that we've discussed in the back rooms, math and music. There is like a science to it, and I think like Dream Theater when I think like math rock, calculated, progressive, mathematical like attack, and there's a channel out there at Let's Talk About Math Rock. And I was like, gotta add this one to our arsenal.
I mean, math and rock are two of my favorite things. So nice.
Yeah, well, the universal language, I do believe, is music and math. They're both part of.
I'm a big fan of science, and math is a big part of all science.
Yeah, and why I wanted to include this one, I like alternate tunings. We've talked about it with drop tuning and Dead Gad, big popular one if you want to sound like Page and some of the classics. And I was like, fact you see. I don't know how you say this one, but he says it's like an automatic way to get dreamy chords. And I like the idea of making dreamy chords easy.
Yeah, I am interested. I mean, even just looking at it, if you were to hit the lowest string on the second fret with this, like hitting them all open is one thing, but if you hit the lowest string on the second fret, you're getting a G. And then if you hit the, and then everything, the A would be the only one that's not one of the chord tones of a C chord. And that's already a 6. So you're getting that 6 sound. That's already a dreamy kind of a sound.
Yeah, so you did the math and you see how these chords relate.
Sort of. It comes down to how the claw works also. Like you
Yeah.
could just hit the claw where you're hitting all the strings across, and then you're getting a 4 at the bottom, a 6, and then you're getting all 1s, 3s, and 5s for the rest of the way.
And you've already done some of the mental adjustments. What he talks about here is the tuning and then what you need to adjust mentally. Because, once you've memorized your claws and you spent all this time doing it this way in one tuning, changing tuning can be a little bit of a challenge for a moment. But
Oh, yeah.
once you know like what you're dealing with, the claws shift, you can take advantage of it.
Yeah. See, the claw is one thing. If you were to try to do solo stuff in this, you're playing something on that fat low string, and you play like, the one, like if you're playing fret, 1, 3, 5, then you go to the next string to do 1, 3, 5, thinking you're going to hear, the notes you're expecting. They're going to be one higher than you expect because you're actually one lower than you thought you were.
Well,
that's where the alternate tunings kind of get messy. If you're trying to do that stuff.
I think that's why he emphasized for dreamy chords.
Chords.
Like, this isn't where we're going to solo.
And you can add stuff to the chords also. That's the other thing about some of these alternate tunings. Sometimes it's about, you can hold the chord. It's a little different than the other claw, but it allows you to do like a certain line, a certain riff
a little
that you can do.
up, down.
Yeah, there's something in there that you can do more easily with this particular claw than you could do otherwise. That's usually what it comes down to.
Well, I hope it makes it easier. I like easier.
Well, let's see what it's all about.
Especially because my stubby fingers, which thankfully Neil showed me an option. So now I can make it easier to make dreamy chords.
Nice.
This is FACGC E-tuning, and it's a superpower that countless math rock and emo bands have been using to craft beautiful, dreamy, emotive songs. So in this video, I'll show you first how to tune your guitar to FACGCE safely. I'll show you the best, easy, movable, dreamy sounding chord shapes to get you started playing. And to top it off, I'll give you some examples of how you can use them to start writing ideas. And I've put together a handy downloadable PDF with all of the chord examples and progressions used in this video, which you can grab down below. But first, let me quickly show you how to safely tune your guitar to this tuning. In my experience, you won't need to change your string gauges for this one, as we aren't really going to be making any radical tuning changes. Starting from standard tuning, you're going to tune your low E up half a step to F. And next, your A string is going to stay the same. From there, you're going to tune your D string down a whole step down to C. Next, your G string is just going to stay the same. And from there, your B string, you're going to tune up a half step to C. And lastly, your high E is going to stay the same. Retune one more time, and I like to give the strings a little bit of a stretch like this, just to make sure they're all stretched out and ready for this tuning, so they're not going to slip or slide or change tuning. And if you're going to be leaving your guitar in the tuning for a while, you might want to have a go at the intonation too, but in my experience, it's usually fine to just leave it as it is. Now that you know that, let me show you some easy movable chord shapes perfect for writing dreamy, math rock and emo ideas. I wanted an easy way to get someone into playing chords in FACGCE to take out that overwhelm. So the following chords are simple 2-finger movable major and minor shapes, meaning you get the feeling of that minor or major sound, but they lean into the sound of the tuning itself by including some open strings. keep in mind that any chord that I show you here aren't technically the correct chord names. More that I want you to think of them in terms of chord function within a particular key for you to get creative with. Because they're all essentially thirds, when using a key, and in our case we're in the key of C major, it will follow the major intervals on the 1, 4 and 5, and those minor shapes, those minor intervals on the 2, 3, 6 and 7. I'll quickly show you how to use all 3 different string roots for maximum coverage of the fretboard here, but to save you having to learn them all right now, remember you can grab that downloadable with all of the chords, and it's got the progressions that I'll show you in the upcoming segment. So starting from our F string root, A string roots, and our C string roots. By the way, if you're enjoying this way of learning FACGCE, then my Guitarist's Guide to FACGCE would be perfect for you. This is a structured guide to learning FACGCE. We've got all of the extras like how the tuning works, how to learn the fretboard in this tuning. We've got way more chord progressions. I should probably take a more professional shot here, but I guess this will do. You're watching this, I guess. So, and then I've got a whole bunch of riffs that you can learn, as well as a whole segment on how to get breakout of everything sounding the same, and lastly how to write approaches with 2 guitars or just individual guitars. So if you're interested in checking that out, this is the physical version which you can get from Amazon, and I've got an ebook version too, so you can find that with a link in the description. Thanks, and back to the video. This leads us on to how you can start writing ideas right away with a few actionable chord progressions. Here are 3 chord progressions that will fire up your creativity. To begin with, we have the classic 4-6-5 loop that you hear used a lot by bands that play in this tuning, or some configuration of these 3 chords. Take the song Parachute by Covert as an example here. It outlines this 4-6-5 with using the bass note. An alternative would be to add the 1 chord and use it to create this kind of lift style progression, going from the 4 to the 5, 6, and resolve on the 1. Another catchy chord progression you can start experimenting with is this: a 4 to a 5, 3, then to the 6th. This one is a popular progression used in a lot of J-pop and J-rock music, and it's worked its way into math rock and emo in recent years. And this is a push-pull progression I like to use, and it starts on a 4, goes to the 2nd, back to the 4, then we push to the 1. And I find it's a great progression to inject some energy into a song. The thing is, how do you start adding these riff ideas in between your chords? Well, watch this video next, where I'll show you an easy way to start writing those wiggly ideas along with your chords. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Oh, Steve, that kicked ass. There's a couple of progressions there that sound right up your alley.
Exactly. Those are very nice. I like that a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it actually seems easier. With I'm going to call that tuning back this. That's
I like it.
yeah.
Fact this tuning. Very nice.
It makes sense.
It does. And again, those little, the fact that everything is coming from that, you saw the claw essentially was like a one finger thing that you could then slide up and down out of when he was showing the tab for it. A lot of that whole exercise that he was showing with the tablature there, that was something that when we were talking about that 10th that I can reach, that's basically if you go up the scale that way, you're basically doing major, minor, minor, major, major, the same like he was talking, the major chords, the minor chords, but you're just basically including the root and a third that's an octave higher to get that nice separated sound. And in this case, it's working around the open strings, which have the rest of the chord all outlined for you.
Yeah. Well, and that's when you're going to use alternate tunings and what you're dealing with on the open. That is what makes those alternate tunings sound different, gives you like something different to play with.
Yeah, and just by using those two fingers, going up throughout the chords, you can do any chord variations you want there, where you have the whole palette of the 7 chords just by using those 2 notes in and around the open strings that are all there for you.
Yeah, well, I like his examples of the action chords, the 6, 4, 5. When you're arpeggiating it like that, damn, I was almost writing a song in my head there as he was doing it.
Exactly, and that's the thing is, just hearing somebody play a chord a little bit differently than you would have played it, all of a sudden can inspire a whole new thing.
Yeah, I popped a brain cell.
Nice. Keep them firing. Keep them firing.
Yeah, and not just our next guitar night, I would like to do the math of music one night. And Steve, you are going to be our superstar that night, because a channel devoted to the math and rock. Love rock. And much as I wasn't great in math, when it comes to music, I appreciate its purpose there.
Yeah, math and science were my favorites, so yeah, I'm a big fan for sure.
Yeah, awesome channel to get added tonight at Let's Talk About Math Rock.
Love it.
Yeah, we definitely picked up a few new tips. Flip me.
There you go. Much better.
Yeah, I think I'm ready for 2026 now.
Yep. Get some math, get some guitar, get some keyboard, get some songwriting happening, all kinds of stuff.
And before we go into 2027, there will be a quiz.
Yep. So you all better study. It's important.
Yeah. And some of that tech we looked at, if things are going to go holographic, I want to see an R2-D2 with an Obi-Wan popping out of it.
Nice.
These
We're getting
are
there,
not
man.
the droids that we're looking for.
Nope. These are not the droids you're looking for.
But this is the show you are looking for. If you
Right
want
here.
to get into the tech every Thursday.
Thursday night on Angified.
Yeah, and Ange is cooking up some things for every night. 2026 is like looking to be a very interesting blend of topics.
Nice. I like it. Welcome to the new year.
So we'll see you next Thursday, and we'll be back on Monday with Wally for some motivation. And I am cooking up some other surprises for Monday.
Nice. Love to see it. See y'all then.
Night, everyone.
We cover digital audio workstations and music tools. We explore theory, gear at 82. How to arrange, compose, and the art of arranging. Taking a look at AI and how the times have changed. On a PC or a Mac, and even with a mobile device, we'll be talking about it all every Thursday night. From software to plugins and synths that entice. Dive deep into tech and let creativity take flight. Talkin Shhh I.T. We're talking Shhh I.T. educational with a lot to learn. From bedroom producers to seasoned pros, we're breaking it down so knowledge grows. Whether you're a DJ or a beat making wizard, we got the tips and tricks to make your sound sizzle. Mixing and mastering, that's our jam, with the tutorials and tips on how much rap. Get the best quality from your setup and gear. Tune in every week and lend us your ear. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn.